Baruch haba le Sarid. Hello, welcome to Sarid. Thank you so much for joining us. We know that Yahuwah Elohim is mighty in battle, and that all praise, honor, and esteem is due to his awesome name for the favor of his word that strengthens us and leads us to him for the saving of our souls during this time called Sefirat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer. I trust that all is well with you and that Adonai Yahuwshuwa HaMashiach is in your heart and all of its expectation during this time. I want to thank you so much for your comments and for your support. Feel free to contact us with any emails or leave a comment below the video. Join with us now as we look to his word as it binds the sheaves for his deliverance. Devarim chapter 28, beginning at verse 20, will line up with the witness of Yochanan chapter 10, verse 11 through 14. Yahuwah will send on you cursing, confusion. The line to survey says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. The mark of the accusative is on the cursing and on the confusion. Et me'ara, et mehuma. So double trouble. This sets the stage going forward, and the curse is on the confusion. To begin, Yahuwah says he's going to send on you Aleph Tar cursing and Aleph Tar confusion. Yahuwshuwa is the Aleph and the Tar. He's the only one in the line to survey, and him is everlasting Chayah. So this cursing of confusion is going to come because of words spoken by him that will confuse others he is speaking to, as it relates to believers in him. He has to endure their mental breakdown because of confusion, something that is seen here as cursed. Confusion is something that has an effect on everlasting life. So you don't want to be confused here. Also, the great name of Yahuwah is in the survey line. So Yahuwshuwa says here, Ahya. It means to become like and come to pass. I am. He becomes like Yahuwah in agreement with the statement. And so he welcomes what must come to pass. The cursing confusion. It deals with the mind. Et mehuma. It means confusion, disquietude, and it's a long list I'm going to read off here, and this is done for a reason. We'll see in a minute. It means to panic, discomfiture, destruction, trouble, to be vexed, frustrated, and worried. It's confusion here. To be distracted, to be confused and destroyed, to be in a stir. So this is something going on in the mind, summed up as confusion. And because the mark of the accusative is on the word, this is something that will affect your everlasting life in a bad way. This is comparable in the survey, when he, as the good shepherd, gives his life for the sheep. This particular word for life here, G5590, looks like the word psyche. It's pronounced tsuka. It means breath of life, the mind of the soul, the seat of feeling and emotions. This is a place where confusion dwells. The soul is designed for everlasting life. It can either be good or bad. If by confusion, then bad. Yahuwshuwa submits to the will of Yahuwah, and as the good shepherd, gives his life to the sheep. It is good. The Greek word for good there is G2570, kalos. And as bad as the word for mehuma was for confusion, this word is loaded with goodness. It means excellent, eminent, choice, surpassing, and precious. Useful, suitable, commendable, admirable, competent, able, such as one ought to be, pure of heart and life, and so praiseworthy, comforting, and confirming. Again, every good thing, the curse is not. He's the good shepherd. There, this word, H4166, pematin, is used here in the teaching, meaning he whose care and control others have committed themselves and whose precepts they follow. Good precepts do not lead to confusion. This word is metaphorically used of a presiding officer or director overseeing assemblies and responsible for watching out for enemies attacking the sheep. By defending the sheep from attackers, healing the wounded and sick sheep, finding and saving lost or trapped sheep, loving them and sharing their lives to earn their trust. This is what he's doing through these precepts, putting our minds at ease because of the constant stress of being subjected to falsehood and lies. Following this rebuke does not lead to confusion. Also, and rebuke in all that you set your hand to do. So as the teaching goes, what a hireling who is not the shepherd, one who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. And the wolf catches the sheep and scatters them. So this confusion is now rebuked as well. And this rebuke also has the mark of the accusative on it. And all that you set your hand to do is seen in what Yahuwshuwa declares is a hireling, a hired hand. Looks like this is confusion here. So let's look at this confused hireling. Mistatus here, G3411, means one hired or let out for hire. The verb describes dues paid for work, a reward. Used of the fruit of work, naturally resulting from toils and endeavors. Reward in both senses. Reward for good and reward as punishments. That's the definition. So the reward could be money or something more important, everlasting life. Whatever is due, this is what the hireling is working for. The mark of the accusative is on the rebuke because of confusion. Aleph Tah rebuke. Et migaret means to rebuke and reproof. The verb means to be corrupt. So let's look at how these three play out in the illustration here. Rebuke, reproof, and corrupt. All of this is seen in the confused actions of the hireling. So let's look at that curse on the word for migaret. The first word there is rebuke. That's what it means. Rebuke means to express sharp disapproval or criticism of someone because of their behavior or actions. Rebuke is seen in what the hireling does, who is also you in the survey line. He leaves the sheep and flees. This is criticizing. And because of that behavior, the action that followed, say the wolf catches the sheep and scatters them. He's being rebuked for all of that. Now for the other word in the definition for rebuked, reproof. Reproof is an expression of blame or disapproval. This is seen when he says he sees the wolf coming. He's blamed right there. He was there and saw it. The wolf was after the sheep, not the hireling. He saw that and fled anyway, although he was hired to take care of the sheep. He's being blamed for that and disapproved because he saw it and didn't stop it. Because he was corrupt. The final word, which is the verb for rebuke, migaret, it means to be corrupt. Corrupt is having or showing a willingness to act dishonestly in return for money or personal gain. He failed to do what he was paid to do, and no doubt wanted to get paid for it anyway, even after loss of life. Seen here as the mark of the accusative that is on the word for rebuke. People lost their lives, or they lost something because of him. So as we continue, rebuke you in all that you set your hand to do. What he, the hireling, set his hand to do is to be a shepherd. This is seen with rebuke as well by Yahuwshuwa when he says, he who is not the shepherd, the one who does not own the sheep. Okay. Here the word for shepherd here, the same as we looked at before. This is one whose care and control others have committed themselves and whose precepts they follow. Here Yahuwshuwa is rebuking them to their face, using this story about people who have been given the mantle of Yisrael. He's rebuking them to their face. They're living in the land and claiming to be something Yahuwshuwa says they are not. He's talking about them, about something they have failed to understand and have badly represented. This brings us back to the verb for rebuke, which means to be corrupt. It's one and the same as being in cahoots with the wolf. That word there for wolf, G74 is lycos. Lycos is wolf. It's used metaphorically of cruel, greedy, rapacious, destructive men. Okay, the verb means light and brilliant, dazzling white. This is used of the garments of exalted ones in their splendor during festive occasions, as it's also used of the garments of messengers of light. Messengers of light, from a root meaning light. So these are seen as false teachers teaching the light of truth. This is the wolf, an unclean animal representing the Gentiles' world order. Wolves, teaching a rebuked understanding of everlasting life. This is an enemy, and they're out to rip the heart right out of the sheep. Their understanding is rebuked by Yahuwah in the top line of survey as well. So the hireling and the wolf have this in common. They do not care about the sheep. Until you are destroyed and until you perish quickly. Thus the hireling flees because he is a hireling and does not care about the sheep. Until you are destroyed, that word for shamad means to devastate. It's a survey on these lines, to cause someone severe and overwhelming shock or grief. This grief is seen as he states the hireling flees because he is a hireling in the verse. It warrants an explanation for dereliction of duty. Why was he so corrupt? It was because he was a hireling. He was in it for the money. Everlasting life is way better than money. He went after the wrong reward. Should have done what he said he was going to do. So we know there's no money in spiritual truth. Not many people support it. And thus the word says, until you perish quickly. The word for perish there, H6, abad, means to go astray and be lost. The condition of his heart comes into play, and this is seen in the verse where Yahuwshuwa declares he does not care. He did not take it to heart. And most people are confused and don't care. They perish quickly when confronted with the truth. They don't care anymore. It doesn't matter when you've been caught in a spiritual lie. That's why the mark of the accusative is here for the survey. It does matter, and they should be very careful. They'll find out, albeit too late for most. Here, he did not take it to heart, and this is what is rebuked. He was confused because he didn't care. Didn't care to find out what was going on with the sheep. Didn't care. Because of the wickedness of your doings in which you have forsaken me. The line of survey says, I am the good shepherd, and I know my sheep, and am known by my own. Me here is Yahuwah. He is identifying himself as me. In the comparison, I am in the verse corresponding is Yahuwshuwa, Ahiyah. He is the good shepherd. He says this because of the wickedness of the hireling. These are leaders who the curse was on because of not caring for the sheep. Not caring is seen as wickedness from the line above. Wickedness, that word, roi, H7455, means willfulness, evil, a bad quality, and badness ethically. Displeasing. The verb means to be all of these. It was because of their doings. The word here, doing, this word for doing is ma'alal, H4611. It means deeds or practices done wantonly to make a fool of someone. So the teachers or the hirelings here are doing it on purpose. They don't care. They want to do it. The hireling never intended to honor his commitment to the shepherd who hired him. That is to say, who gave him the charge of instructing the people to watch over the flock for salvation. To which Yahuwshuwa says, I know my sheep. He teaches them the word. This is knowledge. He restores truth to worship. He knows what his sheep are doing. False teachers, their doing was done on purpose and done in a way in which you have forsaken me, says Yahuwah. Azab means to depart from. That word for forsaken there in the upper line of survey. It means to leave behind and abandon, to let go. The leaders didn't care about the shepherd or the things of the shepherd. In comparison to what Yahuwah has said concerning me, referencing himself in the above line, so Yahuwshuwa does below, saying, he is known by my own. I am known by my own. You see it on the bottom line survey there. Again, this is knowledge. This is how you get saved. And as you can all see, the word is testifying to this. Not many people are going to be saved according to knowledge. Leaders just don't care. Survey on those lines. Devarim chapter 28, 21 will line up with Yochanan chapter 10, 15, and 16. Yahuwah will make the plague cling to you. As Ab knows me, even so I know Ab, and I lay down my life for the sheep. The mark of the accusative is seen on the plague. This is something that adversely affects your witness to everlasting chayah. H1619 is deber. It is a pestilence or a plague, a cattle disease. A pestilence is a fatal epidemic disease. It also, this word here is denoting something morally corrupting. So this plague or disease affects the mind where knowledge is found. It concerns everlasting life and how you relate to Yahuwshuwa. It's going to cling to you. It's going to cling to you. Here, dabach, this word for cling, means to stick with. So this is going to stick to Yahuwshuwa. To stick with and be closely joined together. This is judgment. He says, Ab knows me. This now is if the knowledge of Yahuwshuwa is processed immorally. If the knowledge of Yahuwshuwa is processed immorally. Moral knowledge is seen when he says, Ab knows me. This is knowledge. Even so, I know him. So they have good moral knowledge of him and what is acceptable. The question is, do you? This word for deber has a root that is used in the sense of destroying. The verb means to speak with one another and to talk. So we have destroying speech, to take away speaking. These are people not relating like they should. They're not relating like they should. This is seen when he adds the statement, and I lay down my life for the sheep. The destroying speech is seen as him laying down his life for the sheep. The plague is also something that will destroy you by speech. The word for lay there, G 5087, he lays down his life. Tithemi means to set or put in place, to set forth. Something to be explained by a discourse. Until he has consumed you from the land which you are going to possess. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring, and they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock and one shepherd. This word for consumed here, kalal, H36, 15, means to accomplish, to be at an end, finished, and fulfilled. This is seen when he says, and other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. What Yahuwah is doing with him is not finished. He has more to accomplish. The entirety of what Yahuwshuwa has to accomplish is not just consumed here. The word for fold is G 833. Allah. It is the uncovered courtyard of the house. The root is G 109. It is the air. That's what is being applied here, particularly the lower and denser air. as distinguished from the higher and rarer air, the lower region. This fold is from the land in the above survey. He is to be consumed there as well. The word for land is Adamah. Adamah, H127. If you're joining us for the first time, we know this is speaking of the soul. This word identifies the body having already returned to the ground, tilled and yielding sustenance, and the blood is found therein. The blood symbolizes the soul. The root word for Adamah, which is Adam, redness, symbolizing the blood there. This is what speaks and cries out for saving. From the other fold, a lower atmosphere or region. This is spiritual and noted in the survey when he says to them, them also I must bring, and they will hear my voice. Hearing is spiritual. He will call, and those from the grave will hear and migrate from death to Chayim, which you are going to possess here. As we continue along the top line of survey, which you are going to possess. That word possess there is yarash, and it means to seize and take possession of, to inherit. Yahuwshuwa came to establish the reign of Elohim for those who believed according to the promise. He came to possess that, to be established in the invisible realm. That must happen first, and has happened according to the scripture written as well. That word for possess, yarash, means to disinherit as well. It means to inherit and disinherit. So there are some who will not hear his voice when everything is fulfilled, or according to the word consumed or finished, yarash. So any grand illusions that Jesus somehow superseded Yahuwshuwa is schizophrenic. And to Judaism and Islam, there are no greater works than what Yahuwshuwa did. This is why he then says, there will be one flock and one shepherd. Yahuwshuwa alone possesses Chayim Olam. Devarim 28, verse 22 will line up with Yochanan, chapter 10, beginning in verse 17. Yahuwah will strike you with consumption. That word for strike there is nakah, and it means to chastise, to send judgment upon, to punish and destroy. With consumption, H7829 shekephet is a wasting disease of the lungs. The verb is from an unused root meaning to be emaciated. Emaciated meaning abnormally thin or weak, especially because of illness or a lack of food, hardly able to stand. So here, Yahuwah begins to strike him with the things that are used on the crops. And therefore, Ab loves me. Notice what he says there, therefore. This is an adverb that means for that reason, consequently. Everything mentioned for striking with consumption is done out of love. Is done out of love. With fever and inflammation. Because I lay down my life that I may take it again. These are symptoms that come together. The word for fever H6919, kadak, means fever. It means to kindle, to inflame. This is noted when he says he lays down his life. That's what a fever makes you do. But notice he takes it again. That's life again. And inflammation. Deleket, that word in the upper line that means to hotly pursue. He lays it down and takes it again. This is hotly pursued, back to back. With severe burning fever. With severe burning fever. The word there is chakor. Chakor means extreme heat. The verb means to be burned and charred. Charred is partially burned so as to blacken its surface. To which he replies, "No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of myself." Not partially done, no help. He does it himself. He does it willingly. He lays down his life. With the sword. The word there for sword is kareb. And it means sword, but it means to be laid waste, to slay and make desolate. So he says, I have power to lay it down. That's what a sword does. It gives you power to lay down. With scorching. That word for scorch is shadef, and it means blighted or scorched. To cause to become dried out and lifeless. To cause to become dried out and lifeless. Therefore, he says, I have power to take it again. This command I have received from my Ab. He declares he has power to take it again, and for added measure, he received the command from Ab. This is a double portion here. That word for power, G1849 exousia, means the ability or strength with which one is endued, which he either possesses or exercises. It also means the power of rule or government, the power of him whose will and commands must be submitted to by others and obeyed. It's in the reading there. The root is used in the sense of ability to make happen. So this is an extraordinary statement he is making in light of everything else that has happened to this point. The power is from the one who sent the scorching. And with mildew. That word for mildew is yarakon. H3420 means mildew, paleness, and lividness. We are going to look at all three here. Paleness is a result of shock. Therefore, there was a division again among the Utah because of these sayings. They're shocked at what he just stated. The division is also found in the definition for the word mildew. They are livid, furiously angry. This is seen in the division among the Utah. They are the mildew in the survey. These people can't seem to catch a break. Every time they show up, the word is accusing them of something. This time, it's mildew, dissension. They are no doubt pale in color from the shock of what he just said. Notice they are pale, just like those here in the New King James Version. Jews, all white guys in tall black hats, black trench coats with long beards, funeral directors. That is the image of the Jewish congregation. The Greeks were pale at the time of Yahuwshuwa. And the latest installment of Yisrael, known as Jews, are pale here in our time. Could be why they did not like him. He was different. According to the witness of a star, he was black. These people, the Utah, are pale. Different from Jews, same paleness. It's been this way since the original people left, and will continue until we return to the esteem which we once had, which is to come. Mildew can be detrimental to your health, causes respiratory problems. In this case, deteriorating your everlasting life. Mildew also sometimes compromises the structural integrity of buildings, which can be dangerous, which they have built in their understanding for salvation. It is severely compromised. They trust in their own works, rejecting the truth of Yahuwshuwa. They shall pursue you until you perish. And they did. And many of them said he has a demon and is mad. Why do you listen to him? Others said, these are not the works of one who has a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind? All of this is seen as pursuit of you, who is him, being Yahuwshuwa. The word pursue there, H7291, is redaf, and it means to follow after, persecute, and put to flight, to chase away. All of that is coming too. Also, pursue ardently and aim eagerly to secure, to harass, and run after a bribe. Eventually, all of this as well is going to happen. We know they were going to eventually murder him. It's saying that right here. But right now, for this verse, they pursue you. You is a pronoun. This is seen as they identify Yahuwshuwa as he and him. Other pronouns. He has a demon and is mad. Why do you listen to him? They're pursuing him, pursuing you. He is destroyed in the next verse. They only see him as one who has a demon. Others said, these are not the works of one who has a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind? This is the understanding for perish. H6 in the Hebrew is abad. It is used figuratively, meaning to blot out, to do away with, and cause to vanish, figuratively. They never call him his name. It also means to destroy or put to death of a supernatural judgment. It's in the definition there. They used a demon to reckon with him. This word in the Greek for demon are evil spirits or messengers and ministers of the devil. something that will face the judgment of Elohim. They put him to that death of a supernatural judgment. This is a prophecy of what we know in the witness will happen to Yahuwshuwa. Death and resurrection at the hands of religious leaders, hirelings in cahoots with wolves. Todah for watching with us here at Charred. I encourage you to hold fast to the excellent instructions found in the Torah that agrees according to the teaching instructed by the word itself. And Yahuwah is well pleased with his word. And still there's so much more to glean from the lines that was not revealed here. So I encourage you to feed on what is shared in order to make your witness count. Shabbat Shalom. Shahayalak Shabuatov. Have a good week.